Welcome to another short video about the uncovering Roman Carlisle excavation. Since 2017, the archaeologists of Wardle Armstrong and a strong team of volunteers from Cumbria and around the world have excavated this amazing site. The dig is taking place at Carlisle Cricket Club to the north of the River Eden, just outside the city, known to the Romans as Lugvelium. After a summer season, the team returned once again in September and into October to continue with the excavation. The summer dig uncovered more of this substantial Roman building, probably one of the largest beyond Roman York, including one of the heated rooms with its hypocaust. Many more of these stamped tiles were also found with the IMP on, indicating this building was of a very high status. IMP stands for Imperial. Many of the sections excavated during the summer have been recorded and backfilled. New areas were opened up for investigation to try and establish the size of this enormous Roman building. Currently, the team's best guess is the building was around 50 metres by 60 metres wide. Previous excavations have shown it sat on the site of an early Hadrianic building. The site is so rich in finds, even the excavators removing the top layers before reaching the Roman section found this amazing carved head. It's possible the head was brought up from Roman levels by medieval stone robbers, recycling the ancient remains of the Roman building. These remarkable intact Roman cups were also found during the excavation over the summer. The southern section to be excavated involved a combination of old trenches and new areas to be uncovered. The square structure in the centre of the image, only one block was uncovered in the summer excavation. You can see it here. This area in the Roman period would have been to the south side of the monumental building, but it was no less interesting for the archaeologist. Almost as soon as work began, the site produced its second Roman road. This was found to be Hadrianic, so around the time of Hadrian's wall at AD 122. Once again, the drains of the building were uncovered. Over the course of many excavations, these have been a rich source of intaglios and other small finds left by the bathers and users of the building. The lower autumn sun meant that the site slowly revealed itself over the course of the morning as the shadows drew back. Slowly the square structure was revealed, thought to be a mausoleum for a cremation burial. Also, possibilities include a shrine or even a column base. A careful examination of the stones showed that they themselves had been recycled in the Roman period and had come from another monumental building elsewhere on site. To understand more about the site, the drain from summer was reopened in order to chase it further west. Once revealed, the spoil from the interior of the drain was then put into buckets and sent up for wet sieving. We were lucky on site to have sculptor Tony Krellin come along and reuse a piece of Roman stone to create one of the famous Roman heads found during the dig in previous seasons. It was a real privilege to watch him work. In Trench C, a number of cremation burials started to appear, so it seems like this area was used as a cemetery during the 2nd century. During the slightly damper days on site, the Roman drains started to find their use again. The stonework, although reasonably fine, is not as good as some of the larger drains found in previous excavations, so it's thought that these particular drains leading out of the building were from a slightly later date in the building's use. As a camera swings round, you can just see the pebbled surface of the Hadrianic Roman road which the drain ran alongside. You can also see how deep they were in relation to the road surface. Throughout the dig there was no let-up in the amazing finds and shattered pottery that was found on site, including this beautiful Gaulish patterned Samian. Trench C also produced a huge amount of amphora. These large vessels were used to carry things like olive oil, wine and garum, the fish sauce the Romans absolutely loved, all the way from Cadiz in southern Spain. Amphora were just seen as a very disposable product and were usually smashed and thrown away once the contents had been decanted out and used. Several amphora, especially the necks, were found with graffiti, sometimes marking what was inside or the owner's name. Also the maker's mark sometimes was found stamped on the handles. This shattered but intact flagon was found in Trench C amongst the remains of large sandstone post pads for a timber building, which would have stood on site in the later Roman period. One of the great things about the community dig has been the ability to develop skills in archaeological practice such as surveying and drawing. Again, in this clip from summer, you can just see the block in the centre of the picture, which was the corner of the mausoleum excavated this autumn. During the weekend, the site had plenty of young archaeologists taking part from local schools. With such a rich history around this area, it's great to know that the future of archaeology is in the hands of these young diggers. A later Roman source, the Historia Augusta, tells us that Severus visited a mansio along Hadrian's wall during this time of his campaigns in the north in 208 AD. A mansio effectively was an imperial building used by officials travelling the empire to stay, rest and get fresh horses. This reconstruction shows the mansio at Letasetum, just outside Lichfield. The structure found during excavations appears to be an arched doorway into a colonnaded outer area. Was this the route Septimius Severus took with his Empress Julia Domna into the main building? Translators of the text have speculated that this is very possibly the case. During the dig, the finds kept on coming, such as this beautiful maker's mark at the bottom of a Samian bowl. As the dig continued in Trench C, even deeper layers revealed Hadrianic period remains. Trench A at the northern end of the site was opened up to look for the remains of the substantial walls of the building. At the end of the Roman period, the building probably stood to a substantial height as a ruin, and this was very tempting for stone robbers looking to rebuild medieval Carlisle. Thankfully, enough of the walls were left to enable the archaeologists to plan the site. In the trench, you can see the wall running north-south and east-west marked out by the red lines. In this image of the trench wall, you can just see one line marked out in red where the medieval robbers dug a huge pit. A surprise find was this lead ingot. Roman plumbing was created using rolled up lead to create the pipes and the tanks. Another nice find was this window glass, which would have let plenty of light into the high vaulted ceilings of the building. In Trench C, the team decided to cut a deeper trench alongside the Roman road to investigate the first Roman levels on site and found a spread of masonry and mortar. This may have come from one of the earliest structures on the site. As the month wore on, the weather turned slightly. Quite a few wet days occurred. This caused a lot of problems for the team, especially with mud. However, the archaeology was nothing less than spectacular. After one particularly rainy session, the team took to dumping their spoil in a line to create a dam to stop the water running into the trenches, but it didn't stop the metal detectors checking every pile. A change in the soil indicated a large pit must exist in the middle of the site, which was investigated. Into October, a spate of bad weather meant that the trenches had to be pumped out regularly to ensure the dig could continue. Through all of this, the team continued to work, including recording, drawing and surveying the site. In Trench C, work continued clearing around the post pads for the timber building which would have stood here. A charred wooden section of timber, which looked like it was dovetailed together, was found. Apart from the charred timber, black ash was found in many of the ditches, indicating a fire had taken place on this site. By the last week of the dig, things were beginning to feel very autumnal. very different from the start in September. In Trench B, with the Roman drains flooded, the team continued their work on the area between the drain and the south wall of the Grand Severan building. In Trench A, the team reached the bottom of the foundations for the robbed out wall. You can still see what remains of the substantial east-west wall in the top right corner. The actual analysis of the whole site and its final interpretation may take some time, so I hope the film gives you a general indication of how the excavation worked at this point. As with all archaeology, ideas are subject to change as more is known. I managed to capture this shot inside the drain after it's pumped out for one last time. Lead seals were used to secure baggage and letters and documents being sent around the empire. This one here believed to be from the Ala Gallorum Petriana, a 1,000-strong cavalry unit based at the fort of Uxallenum on Hadrian's Wall, just north of the excavation site. It was the largest fort on Hadrian's Wall. After fully excavating the pit, it appears to be a large post hole for a huge upright section of timber. One of those mysterious features that pop up on all archaeological sites that leaves your head scratching. With the soil so muddy, it was worth using a metal detector just to check the spoil in case anything was missed during the dig. Finally, on the last day, Trench A was finally put to bed with the foundation trench fully excavated of the robbed out wall. But the dig will continue in 2025 with new dates planned, more exciting discoveries to be made. Even at the very end of the dig, this amazing Roman ditch came to light. You can still see signs of burning left behind on the trench edges. So my thanks go out to all the hard-working volunteers, the professional archaeologists at Wardle Armstrong, Cumbria Council, and everyone involved with the dig. It's been a spectacular affair, and we'll see you again in 2025. I've done my best to make sure everything is correct, but any mistakes are my own.